49.
Good day, everybody. Alright, so, our last one was a little bit more sentimental for me, but, we're moving on. Yeah, I'm kind of recording this one late because, had a little bit of a common cold and a little bit of allergies. But, moving forward, welcome back. So, today I just wanted to kind of talk to everybody about a little bit about drug addiction. Now, this can actually mean multiple things, whether it be tobacco, chocolate, sugar. They're all drugs to our body. Now, the first time, like you hear drug addiction, you're like, oh my God, it's, cocaine, heroin. There's so many drugs that you can't name them all. And some of them are legal. Most of the bad ones aren't. Now, the thing with drug addiction is everybody wants to say it's physical. Now, where parts of it is physical, most of it isn't. Most of it's mental. And the reason why I say this is I've had friends who have been addicted, and I've never fully got addicted per se. I did have a month where my body physically craved Subutex. Now, Subutex is the heroin alternative that the government feeds everybody. It's the same thing as like methadone and Suboxone. Yeah. It depends on what area you're in is which one they feed you. Now, I've tried heroin. I've tried cocaine. I've tried them all. There's only maybe one handful of ones I haven't. To me, one of the biggest things I've noticed is these synthetic drugs that the government and these labs make, they're worse for you than the actual natural drug. So anytime you're trying to get off a natural drug, meaning, the heroin, the cocaine, cannabis, when you're trying to get off those, it's more mental. And now people will argue, well, what about the people that have seizures and this, that, and the other? It's still easier to get off of these natural ones than it is these synthetic ones. And the reason why I say this is I've experienced the withdrawals from heroin. I've experienced the withdrawals from most of these drugs. When it came to me, my mom told me something when I was like 18. I was still at Match, and she's like, I can't tell you not to do drugs because I'm not a hypocrite. Only thing I'll ask is you to be responsible about it. What this said to me is if I want to have fun and I want to experience things, do my research. See what it's supposed to do. See this, see that. Know what the drug's supposed to look like. Know what the drug's supposed to feel like. Do all your research before you touch the drug. Now, at the same time, you can try this drug once and be addicted because mentally you fell in love with it. And physically, it does take time because your body has to grow somewhat of a tolerance and it has to distribute through your body. So physically, it's not as bad for people as people want to per se and people want to make myths about. So anybody that's played with alcohol and had a full weekend of fun, you've done a hangover once or twice. Now what this means is when you drank all weekend and then all of a sudden Sunday comes and you're like, or Monday comes and you're like, oh my God, I was like crap. That's the same thing as withdrawals. So if you're a big boy, a big girl, and you choose to drink all weekend, Monday comes around, you're going to have to, tough it out. Same thing goes for these other drugs. If you want to be a big boy, big girl, and you want to try these big boy drugs or big girl drugs, you have to tell yourself at the end of the day, I did this drug, now it's time for me to withdraw. And that's what a lot of people are afraid about. So when it comes to drug addiction, it's not necessarily the drug that keeps them. It's them that keeps them. So when I say this, if you know somebody that's experienced, drug addiction, or even if you're trying to deal with it yourself, when it comes to the time of, okay, I'm starting to feel like crap, you just have to remind yourself, hey, I did this, let's work it out. Now, I've experienced the withdrawals from heroin. You do feel like the flu, and it does last for like a week. When you start to get these sweats, and you start to ache, and you start to feel this pain, you know that drug can get rid of that pain, because that's what your body wants. But mentally, you need to go, you know what, I need to deal with this. Because essentially after that first week, it might, again, synthetic drugs take like 2 weeks. But heroin for me, it was like 2 or 3 days of just feeling like crap. It's not that bad. You mentally have to tell yourself, I don't want it no more, or I don't need it no more. It's just like there's a guy at work that he's trying to get off Suboxone, and it's one of those things like there's lots of ways to tone yourself down. If you're doing whatever it is, skip a day. Do like one day where you do the bare minimum to keep yourself from being sick. Then go a day, don't do anything. That next following day, just do enough, not just to get rid of the sickness. Don't go for the high. Don't chase the high. Just do a little bit to get you through. And if you do this over a couple of days, the next thing you know, you'll be doing 2-day break, 3-day break. And the next thing you know, you do like a week, and then you just do a little bit to make you not sick. Or you just go ahead and say after it's been a couple of days, just to say, you know what, I've already went this many days, let's finish it out. Now, that's getting it off physically. Mentally is a little harder. Mentally, you gotta find the root of your problem. Because physically, you can get off any drug you want. Once you tell yourself mentally, hey, you know what, I'm done with this. I'm tired of being addicted. It's one of those things that the hardest thing is too many people that want to help people get off drugs, they don't understand why. So, I was talking to someone else at my job, a higher up, but she has a friend that is addicted to cocaine. Now, the thing with cocaine is you get withdrawals just as much as alcohol, sugar. I mean, it doesn't matter what you're doing. And if you're around people that still have it, it's so much easier to go, man, my arms hurt, my joints hurt, I just feel like crap. So-and-so has a little bit. It can be a pick-me-up and give me that little bit of energy I need to get through the day. I'll deal with this later. Again, it goes down to the moment you say, you know what, I'm done. Now, depending on what state you're in, cannabis can be a huge thing to help. Because I know that when I was stopping everything, because it was one of those things like I would go to the bar, I'd have 1 or 2 drinks. A buddy of mine would be like, hey, want to do a line? Sure. So then you do that one line, and then you sober up a little bit mentally, because kind of stealing my next video's ideas, but anytime you have a relaxer or a like alcohol, whatnot, when it relaxes your veins and whatnot, they tend to get bigger. So that's why when you drink alcohol, your veins get bigger. You get tired because you have less fluid in a bigger space. So essentially, it slows your heart rate down because it doesn't have as much fluid. Now, if you want to counteract this, while you're drinking your alcohol, drink a full glass of water you know, after so many drinks, you know, to prevent yourself from being dehydrated, and it keeps these veins full of fluid. And you won't get tired as quick, and you probably ever drink way more than you should. But that's the more healthy way to, you know. Same thing goes with no matter what you're doing. If you're eating a lot of sugar, you're drinking coffee, you're doing cocaine, it doesn't matter. You need to keep your veins full. Now you don't want to get them too full if you're on an upper, because what an upper does, instead of it making it bigger, it makes it smaller. That's why when you do cocaine or any upper, if your veins are full, now you're pressurizing it. And what does that do? Pressurizes your veins, and then it pressurizes your heart. So essentially, you got to know how dehydrated you are. Now, anytime you go to pee, you can gauge how dehydrated you are. The darker your pee, guess what? The more dehydrated you are, because that is only substance. The darker it is, that is the matter and the substance in your pee. So if it's clear, you're not dehydrated. You're actually good to go. But I'm not trying to tell people to do drugs, and I'm not telling them how to get away with it. I'm just saying that there are healthy ways to see how bad your body is and whatnot. You won't clear pee because that means you're not dehydrated. So, back to this. You know, like I said, I would drink alcohol, I would drink my water, and all of a sudden I was like, hey, you want a line? Cool. So, I already kind of kept myself to a point of, I knew what I had to do it responsibly, because, again, my mom told me if I wanted to do something, make sure I do it responsibly. Now, I have had a couple issues where I did a little too much a couple times, and not good. But, hey, I'm still here. We're all good. A lot of what my past is I didn't do this stuff to fill the voids of mental health. I did it because I wanted to help people. And the best way to help somebody is you need to see what they're going through. So, when I, you know, went on my search to help people, I did try drugs that they were trying because I wanted to see what it was doing for them, so I could see how to help them later. A lot of them I found out that you can't help them because they don't know what to do with, they don't know how to deal with their issues. And that's what a lot of my videos are for. I'm trying to help people deal with their issues. Drug addiction is your next biggest issue because so drug addiction is your next biggest issue because a lot of people want to numb the pain, and so they pick certain things like alcohol to numb that pain, because now instead of thinking about it, they're thinking about whatever's in front of it, because it's not necessary. But you don't, like, every time I drank alcohol, all my problems were still there, and I just looked at them as, why am I drinking? The problems are still here. And I think this leads to people drinking even more to try to get them going. You know, I've known people who have mixed heroin with meth and almost OD'd. And I know some that have OD'd. So it's not good to take any substance to try to get rid of something else. So, you know, like I said, we drink, and then we do a couple lines, and then at the end of the night, I couldn't go to sleep. So then I went with either a benzo, you know, like your Xanax, your Klonopin, yada yada yada, to try to sleep. And one thing I didn't like about Xanaxes and you know the other benzos is I would wake up so foggy, and to me that was horrible because then I just lost the day. And if I didn't take it, then I stayed up all night, and I lost the day too. So your next biggest thing for me is I went with cannabis. So I would drink, I'd do a couple lines, and at the end of the night, I would get high. This worked great for me because it was kind of one of those semi-natural, natural. So my body wasn't as much as, you know. So, you know, and then I just got to the point where I'm having to do this to counteract this, and I'm not even doing anything with this to counteract this, because I was just socially drinking to have fun with people. Now, I did go out with people who probably had issues, but that wasn't me. Like I said, in my previous videos, I've always loved me. I've never had a problem with me. I've just had a problem with certain parts of me based on my previous traumas. I depressive ate, which I gained weight, which made me lose a lot of self-confidence. But I never hated me for it. I always loved my body. I always loved me. I just always wanted to change it. And it was, no matter what I did, I couldn't change it. Until about a year and a half ago. And that's when my self-confidence started coming back. And I feel like, the young me that before everything happened. It also taught me a lot of self-discipline, which is what I needed to combat a lot of my past traumas. When it comes to drug addiction and getting off of this stuff, I use cannabis because I was like, you know what? I don't need this because it makes me do this, which, again, gets me back to the cannabis. So I just skipped it all. I went right to the end. I only smoked weed. That was it. Anytime I went out, if I did drink, I had one drink, no cocaine. But the problem, like I ran into, like I said in the previous videos, was that one drink, that was cool. An hour from now, I'm in the corner. Because what it does, the alcohol gets in your system, it relaxes your veins. And, like I said, I would drink water, but then all of a sudden I would start getting the headache because my body was like, alright, I'm not tired, but there's something in my system I don't like and I want to get rid of it. Let's shut down and, let's clean house. So I would get, the hangover and the headaches, and so it got to a point where I don't want that. I'm just going to get high. So, I went ahead and I got me one of the little dab pieces, like it's the brain frogger, and I would get wax, and I would take that out with me. And me being a cannabis advocate, I would, pass it around anybody that, because at the end of the day, I would rather people be getting high than to be drinking. And, I wish I would have started sooner, but everything happens for a reason at the right time. So I can't beat myself up for not working on my mental health sooner. So don't, if you're struggling with any kind of illness, do not beat yourself up for not doing it sooner. Because today is the day. And if you're not ready for today, then let's work on it tomorrow. But it takes baby steps to get all this done. The first thing you need to do is you need to find your issues. Figure out why you want to escape reality. Figure out why. Like what is messing with your voids? What's what do you need? What made you start doing these drugs? Now, I know some of them, it's whenever I was hanging out with the exotic dancers and whatnot, it was one of those things like they weren't 21, so they couldn't get alcohol on the floor. So they would do a Xanax, smoke weed, yada 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 yada. And I'm gonna say this later on another video, but to me, weed/cannabis is a gateway drug because it's really easy to get until you need it. So if and you just can't smoke weed in a non-legal state just out in public. So that's why I say when you need it. If you try it and all of a sudden you like how it feels, and it does give you certain euphorias and everything, but then you're in it somewhere you can't get it, then it's like, hey, I really need to smoke, but can't do it right now. Well, hey, here, try this Xanax. It does the same thing. Or, hey, here, drink this. And, that's where it starts. And next thing you know, you have this person doing 5, 6, 7 drugs because they can't just do it. So partial, problems is cannabis needs to be legal, 100% federally, because then you'll have less people going after these other drugs. And it does help. Now, if you don't want to get high, the hemp CBD route is your best option, because if you're not looking to be high, then, but if you have PTSD or you have other traumas, you do need the THC because it does help you mentally. Because you do need to escape somewhat to get rid of some of those traumas. CBD is more of a physical thing. It helps you a lot with your physical relaxations. It helps with, a lot of the physical disorders, like your seizures, epilepsy. Anytime that you're needing the pain relief that you don't want your opioids, that's where CBD comes in handy. But when you have your PTSD traumas, sometimes you do need escape. Some of your frustration triggers, you do need to escape, because right now you're in a bad mindset you need to get out of. So I'm not ever going to say THC is bad. I'm just going to say there's a time and place for everything. Again, being responsible. So, if you need to start smoking weed to get off these big drugs, I 100% support that, because at the end of the day, you're getting off of a harder substance and you're switching to a easier substance to get off of. Now, you can get physically addicted to marijuana, just like you can mentally. There are addictions to weed. I would say I possibly had, somewhat of addiction, but at the same time, it's easier to get off of because the next day you don't feel like absolute crap. Whenever I stopped smoking weed, at the beginning of December, it was one of those things like, after 2 or 3 days, my mood was harder to keep stable. My anxieties, everything just kind of were easy to flare up. And it was one of those things that, again, I had to be a big boy. I had to worry about the things that I needed to be in control of. I needed to focus on certain things. And that was my biggest thing, was I knew what I needed to do and what I needed to get done. And smoking was not going to get that for me. So when I started having my anxiety issues and, some of my other issues, my blood pressure started going up a little bit, that's whenever I was like, you know what, I need to get CBD. Because at the end of the day, it can help me physically, and I don't need it mentally, so I don't need weed, I need CBD. That's where a lot of medical strains come in handy, is, if you look at what it, how much it has, yada, yada, yada. If you're doing a 15% THC and a 15% CBD strain, you're going to get the most out of it. That's what they truly call a medical strain. So anytime you need a medical strain to get off of these certain, things, go with a CBD THC strain. If you know a dealer who's selling something and he knows the name of it, Google it. Look it up. See if it's a high THC strain. Because the high THC strain is just going to mess with you mentally. I mean, it will help. It will escape. You will get certain things. But you're not going to get that full relaxation. You probably are going to get paranoid. You're probably going to have your uppity issues of, your possible panic attacks, all those other things. Because at the end of the day, you're just boosting your THC levels, and you're not going to get the healing that you're looking for. So, again, CBD is really one of your biggest things. This subject in general is going to be a 2 or 3 part thing. So, check in next week. Next week will be story time on this subject. And then the following week, again, will be more drug facts and more addiction issues. So, like I said, if anybody needs help, just hit it up in the comments. I'm really needing a lot of subscribers, so if you can, hit the subscribe button, likes and comments, share this with anybody you think needs, is struggling with addictions or abuse. Let's get everybody, healthy and healed. If you know another topic that needs to be touched in mental health, throw it in the comments. I'm more than happy to help everybody, because at the end of the day, I've experienced a lot with a lot of different stuff. I have a lot of experience with people that I know have been addicted, and like I said, I never fully got addicted, because anytime that I saw myself being grabbed, I was like, you know what, time to be a big boy, go away. So, I hope everybody has an awesome day. I hope everybody stays beautiful. I love everybody. Let's make this world a better place. Have a great day.